Oh no, it's coming back. It's coming back towards you.
It's easy to overlook the importance of mini golf. I mean, how serious can you get about such a cheesy game?
You know, you have to hit it into the mouse's mouth.
So they had gnomes on there, and they had lots of little forest creatures, and they named each hole after different fairy tales.
And then there were all those windmills on the course.
Windmills?
Windmills.
The windmills.
Is there a windmill?
No! That's bad.
But the story behind this whimsical sport is fascinating. It involves Mary Queen of Scots, tuberculosis, angry cows, the gingerbread man, and a small town in North Carolina. I'm Anissa Khalifa. This is The Broadside, where we tell stories from our home at the crossroads of the South. This week, how a bite-sized version of golf made it from one man's lawn to the rest of the world and broke down class barriers along the way.
And they have pirate coves and waterfalls and dragons that spit fire and all that kind of stuff. And hazards that take your ball down to a pool somewhere else 3 blocks away or something, you know.
On a lovely spring day earlier this year, I visited a place that I'd heard of pretty much all my life, but had never been to. Pinehurst, North Carolina. Centered around the historic Pinehurst Resort, it's a quaint, picturesque town, and they lean into that vibe. The official name is actually the Village of Pinehurst. But this community of about 18,000 people isn't famous for its charming downtown. It's known around the world for one thing. Pinehurst number 2.
The mere mention, Pinehurst number 2, one of the most instantly recognizable and iconic golfing venues in all the world for the third time.
Payne Stewart is the 1999 U.S. Open champion. Oh, my.
That legendary golf course has earned Pinehurst the nickname the home of American golf. And it's a big deal. Nearly 250,000 people attended the U.S. Open tournament there last year. So it may surprise you to find out that I never once saw it during my visit. And that's because I was in town to learn the story behind a very different kind of golf. Mini golf.
I'm Audrey Moriarty. I'm the Library Services and Archives Director at Given Memorial Library and Tufts Archives in Pinehurst.
The Tufts Archives is essentially the keeper of the village's history. And because of that, Audrey knows basically everything about it, including its unusual origin story.
We are on the village green in the village of Pinehurst, and we are a national landmark, so this is a very important location, and it was the heart of the town when it was built in 1895 by James Walker Tufts.
A New England businessman, Tufts made his fortune with the American Soda Fountain Company, but his investment in the North Carolina countryside was somewhat philanthropic. He initially created Pinehurst as a haven for Northerners suffering from consumption, the disease we know today as tuberculosis.
And doctors up there were saying you need to go south where the climate is better, get rest. They didn't really have a cure for it, so they prescribed rest, fresh air, whatever exercise they were able to do.
Audrey says Tufts bought 6,000 acres of scarred and deforested scrubland and built 38 cottages for patients to convalesce in. But those patients didn't come alone.
They came with people in their family who were well, and some of these people were already playing golf in the north, and so they brought golf clubs. And James Walker Tufts had a dairy herd so that he could feed the people who came, and they went out, they started playing golf on the dairy fields. And the gentleman who was managing the dairy field came up and he said, "I fear they're disturbing the cows and milk production."
Tufts had plenty of land and money, so he hired a famous golf course designer, Donald Ross, to come down to North Carolina and build the resort a proper golf course. And the rest is history.
Once they started to build golf courses, I said, this is great. So they just kept building, and now actually they're contemplating or beginning work on number 11.
So that's how Pinehurst became Pinehurst, the iconic golf destination. But what about the mini golf? For the story of how Americans began their love affair with tiny golf courses, Audrey directed me just a few blocks down the road to a place with a whimsical name. Thistle Dhu.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm looking for Carolyn Cole.
Now, sadly, if you were expecting windmills and giant mushrooms, this isn't that. Thistle Dhu is a very old house that's had many lives, including a short stint as a nunnery. Today, it's an event venue run by the three ladies who welcomed me to the property.
I'm Carolyn Cole, and this is Beverly McDonald and Patricia Jacobs, and we're the primary owners of Thistle Dhu. So we own the house now.
Carolyn says the original owner, shipping magnate James Barber, was a huge fan of the sport. In fact, he was instrumental in helping turn Pinehurst from a health resort for consumptives to the cradle of American golf. So when he built his new home in 1919, he included a small-scale 18-hole course for what he called Lilliputian golf. When it was complete, he surveyed the property and said, "This will do," which is how we got Thistle Dhu. That's Thistle. And this new course became a destination for Barber's fancy friends. These were wealthy and fabulous people.
It was a playground for the folks from the north. We were a party town. There was a casino here down in the village.
Oh, really?
They had. She did not know that.
The Thistle Dhu mini golf course that was once a destination for the rich and famous no longer exists. The original property has been carved up over the last 100 years, and only an expert eye would be able to discern where the holes once were. But walking through the house today, you can easily imagine folks putting and partying there in the early 20th century.
And so this house was built at the time of Prohibition. Mm-hmm. So the confessional was here.
That's the confessional James Barber built for his devoutly Catholic wife, Catherine.
And then the speakeasy was right next door, next to the confessional.
I love it.
So it is a true speakeasy built inside of a home. They have their own bar in here. You probably had some of your high-end liquors and everything. But then you're in the Carolinas, you probably want a little moonshine too.
I'm sure it was around.
All that remains of the first mini golf course in America are black and white photos of the Barber family and their guests, putting in their woolen suits and long skirts. But what started as a frivolous pastime of the upper crust would end up sparking the imagination of future generations, and surprisingly, lead to a class revolution in the sport.
People of the working class, people who can't belong to country clubs, maybe who can't buy a set of clubs and play sort of long-form golf, they're able to play mini golf.
That's coming up after a short break. We're living in an age of information overload, and that can be especially stressful during the holiday season. But Masterclass provides me with the type of learning that feels personal and specific. It allows me to focus on one thing I want to learn in each bite-sized lesson. One class I found inspiring recently was from former U.S. Poet Laureate Joy Harjo on poetic thinking, all about opening yourself up to the creative process. And there's so much more. You can learn how to tell a great story from the legendary LeVar Burton, or apply the principles of improv to your life with Amy Poehler. With Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become your best, in a way that fits into your schedule. With audio mode, you can listen to Masterclass lessons anytime, anywhere. And the classes really make a difference. 83% of surveyed members say they've applied something they learned from Masterclass to their lives. Masterclass always has great offers during the holidays, sometimes up to as much as 50% off. Head over to masterclass.com/broadside for the current offer. That's up to 50% off at masterclass.com/broadside. masterclass.com/broadside.
I went with Yo-Yo Ma to the top of the highest peak in the Smoky Mountains.
The Cherokee people had always thought of that mountain as a spiritual location to open up a porthole into a wider universe.
I'm Ana Gonzalez, and I've been traveling with Yo-Yo Ma around the country and meeting people like Levita Hill, who's on a mission to change this mountain back to its Cherokee name.
Kwohi is the mulberry place.
Listen to Our Common Nature from WNYC wherever you get podcasts.
Hey.
What a lovely afternoon to play some mini golf.
A few weeks ago, the whole Broadside team, me, Charlie Shelton-Ormond, and Jared Walker, went on a short road trip to Frankie's Fun Park in Raleigh. It was an exercise in nostalgia.
Whoa. They got the, top-notch arcade games.
Developments in arcade games.
Yeah. Look at this.
This is fancy.
Look, they got a robot.
Once we finished being jealous of Gen Alpha and the truly insane arcade games they're growing up with, we went outside for the main event, mini golf.
Okay.
So after all of that, this feels delightfully analog, right?
Just a stick and ball. Thank you. All right, so we're here. Wow, this is very cute.
It was the full experience. Whimsical bridges over tiny streams, waterfalls, and 18 holes of various difficulties, with loud music blaring me all the way back to my youth.
So we got 10 years, a couple years since 8 years since you played?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'll be honest, we weren't great at it. Charlie's the only semi-regular golfer among us, and some of those holes were pretty challenging.
Get in the hole!
Oh, that was so close.
But it was so much fun.
No, it's coming back.
We all fell victim. All
right, thanks. All right. Hit it that way.
Aim for Jared.
But how did we get from James Barber's backyard to here? This strange game that people play from Myrtle Beach all the way to Singapore.
I would say I play mini golf first and foremost. I mean, I played mini golf growing up long before I ever picked up a driver or an iron.
For that, I turned to historian Katie Boyce.
I specialize in golf history in the United States and the history of sports in America more broadly. I find we can learn a lot about American society and American culture through sport.
While modern golf may seem very traditional and resistant to change, Katie says its mini cousin is just another development in the sport's long and murky history.
People have been playing stick and ball games for as long as human history has existed. I mean, think golf, think croquet, think hockey, think even baseball is a stick and ball game. Many historians believe that golf evolved closely with hockey, actually, from a game called Kalf, with a K, which was a Dutch sort of precursor to the game.
The earliest references to golf in Scotland, where the modern game is thought to have originated, were actually bans against playing it in the 1400s. And the earliest formalized version of the game emerged shortly afterward.
Mary Queen of Scots played golf.
Oh, really?
Yes, there's evidence in her trial where they explicitly said she was indifferent in the murder of her husband since she spent the days after her husband's murder playing golf. So she clearly didn't care.
Wow.
Because she wasn't conforming to the proper mourning customs of the era.
In the U.S., Katie says golf's arrival is hard to pin down. There's evidence of golf equipment being shipped here in the colonial era, but the sport gained its first real foothold in the Gilded Age, around the same time that Pinehurst was being built.
And from there, golf takes off. I mean, by 1900, there are courses all across the country.
Katie says that true to stereotype, in these early days, golf was an elite sport, played by white wealthy folks in exclusive clubs. But it also had a surprising progressive streak because golf was uniquely welcoming to women.
Women were playing golf pretty prominently in the 1890s. You might be shocked, actually, to see some photographs of the early competitions, the elite competitions for women. The crowds, the galleries were enormous. Much bigger than you might see later, even in the 20th century.
Wow.
There has been a national championship for women in the United States as long as there has been for men.
It's very different from other sports in the United States.
It was. And I think part of that has to do with the class aspect in some ways, because it was these wealthy sort of social clubs. And I also think it has to do with the idea that it was seen as appropriate. It was ladylike. They could stroll through the course. And it was also seen as something men and women could do together.
But while golf was more accessible to women than any other sport, it would take mini golf to really make this a game for everyone. In 1919, we got Thistle Dhu, the first formal mini golf course in America. But as we heard from the folks at Pinehurst, it was nothing like the kitschy version of the mini game that's popular today. So where did that come from?
This concept of sort of the more whimsical, the windmills, the boxed off holes, it really began by a couple named Garnett and Frida Carter of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So they owned a resort in Chattanooga called Fairyland Inn, and they had a full long-form golf course there, but they decided to design this smaller form, modeled off of something like Thistle Dhu, miniature golf course. And they really wanted to lean into their Fairyland Inn idea. So they had gnomes on there, and they had lots of little forest creatures, and they named each hole after different fairy tales. So they had a gingerbread man hole, they had a Little Red Riding Hood hole, and eventually they patented this whole idea because it became so popular. It was more popular than their long-form golf course.
The Carters called this game Tom Thumb Golf. In the late 1920s, they began selling franchises to folks across the country, and it took off in a huge way. Some reports say that by 1930, there were 25,000 mini golf courses in the U.S. And this was the moment when mini golf became the sport of the people.
You see in mini golf that it's more accessible to people of the working class, people who can't belong to country clubs, maybe who can't buy a set of clubs and play sort of long-form golf. They're able to play mini golf. Mini golf is also able to come to them. A lot of these mini golf courses are just on empty lots in the city. So someone who lives in the city, who just immigrated here, who was part of the massive wave of urbanization in the United States, can now go play mini golf right down the road.
Katie says the new game also reached people of color who had limited access to the traditional sport because of segregation.
I sort of see mini golf as sort of being a reflection of American society, just as I think sports is more broadly.
Mini golf's popularity declined throughout the turbulence of the Great Depression and World War II. But as America entered a new moment of prosperity in the 1950s, it took off once again. And this time, it went global. Companies like Putt Putt, which was also founded in North Carolina, opened up franchises across the U.S. and abroad. And today, the appeal of this small game is as big as ever.
You don't need to bring your clubs. You don't need to be dressed up. If you're at the beach, if you're on the boardwalk, you can kind of go over and you can play it in less than an hour, and it's fun.
I think what's really interesting about mini golf is it's one of these, I don't know, I can't think of another sport where there's a full professional version and a mini version, and both of them are really popular. Why do you think that they've both stuck around and remained popular the way they have?
I think that it goes back to sort of the accessibility of the game, both mini golf and regular golf. Regular golf is a sport that young women can go and play with her grandfather. I mean, and that there aren't a lot of sports like that. It transcends age, it transcends gender. You know, golf sort of has this reputation as being sort of a bastion of the elite. It still does offer a sport that, again, men and women, old and young, can go out and play together. And I think that is one of the greatest appeals to the game. And that's why mini golf is even more popular, because it's even more accessible.
That accessibility, that ability to just pick up a club and play, whether it's been a couple weeks or a decade since you last stepped on a course, was fully on display when Jared, Charlie, and I visited our local fun park.
So here we are, hole 18. What's the score, Charlie?
Jared is most likely still in the lead. We have not tallied yet.
Oh, I'm in the lead.
Oh,
got cocky.
We hooted and hollered over each hole and had a great time. I am terrible at sports, so unsurprisingly, I lost by a large margin. But in the end, it's about how you play the game.
It's got good power. Oh!
Wow.
Oh! A hole in one!
And a hole in one doesn't hurt either.
We did it!
Oh my God.
Anissa,
okay.
How do you feel?
I'm glad I turned the recorder back on at the 18th hole.
Storybook ended.
Yes.
This episode of The Broadside was produced by me, Anissa Khalifa, and our editor, Jared Walker. It also featured our producer, Charlie Shelton Ormond. Wilson Sayre is our executive producer. This story included archival clips from NBC and the U.S. Golf Association. The Broadside is a production of WUNC North Carolina Public Radio and is part of the NPR network. If you have feedback or a story idea, you can email us at broadside@wunc.org. If you enjoyed the show, leave us a rating, a review, or share it with a friend. Thanks for listening, y'all. We'll be back next week.
Stream blockbuster hits like 21 Jump Street, Ted, The Expendables, and so much more on Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.